All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Warehouse Series. When I do these unedited videos, I really don't do an introduction anymore. I just like to get right to it. So we do not make them any longer than they have to be. All right, so I'm starting off in cans again. We're going to show the end product at the end of the video. I'm going to show you some pictures. I only select so much on this order. Like I said, I can only do so much with my video on this. So we're going to select this to about chest high. And then we are going to look at my finished product. So while I'm starting to select this, you can see, once again, if you're new to watching my videos, I'm treating the back of my pallet like the front of my pallet. So picture you walking behind me. I'm trying to build backwards on my pallet so you guys could see me build more, because I like to build the front of my pallets up. So if I figured if I do it backwards, then you guys will be able to see me do a little bit more. So right now, I want you to pay attention to the block that I am stacking these cases. Okay, and then I'm going to show you a little diagram. So I do not change. Okay, so this is what we are also talking about when we say follow the block. The way I am stacking these on here is the way they are received on the pallets that are in the slots. It's a 17 block. So why would I change the block? Why would I do something differently than what comes on the pallet? The only time that I don't use what comes on the pallet, I told you, is like probably 5% of the time, like the Gatorades I was talking about the other day in the other videos. I like to 8 block my Gatorades instead of 10 blocking them, because they tend to hang off the pallet a lot. Now these check marks, or the thumbs up that are coming up, you guys can give me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. Leave comments. Subscribe to the channel if you're not a subscriber. But these thumbs up throughout the video are blocking other people that are in the video. I do not like to show people on my video. So while this is going on, I'm going to show you this diagram right here. All right. So basically what this is the 17 block that I'm working right now. I just made it all different colors because my diagram is blending in with each other. So look at number 1 and number 9. That's the front of my pallet. That's what I start with. I start with one of my corners. All right, so 1 and 9, and I always do it this way. And then I will alternate the block if I get another row. So cases 10 and 11 that you see going towards the middle of my pallet, IC selectors, they like to put that on the back of their pallet. So they'll have cases 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, right under cases 7, 8, and 9, and they will have cases 10 and 11 on the back of the pallet. I don't like doing that. I like having my cases on my back of my pallet, like the position of 15, 16, 17. I do not like putting 2 cases. It gives it a weaker back. Take my word for it. When you put cases, when you run cases the width of the pallet on the back of the pallet, you tend to have a weaker case. You know, you want those cases facing up the pallet from the back. So right here, I'm, just following the block that you see in my diagram. That is exactly what I'm doing on this pallet right here. A 17 block, I select it the same way every time. There is no reason whatsoever to change up this block. And when you learn blocks, you select smoother. You're not sitting there struggling around, moving cases around. You get used to the blocks. So when you're getting all the same cases like this is how you want to stack, and just keep following your pattern. This is also on pre-shift. So this order, and I'm going to be putting out another one of these with the second order I did. I did a 115 on this order. Now remember, I'm on pre-shift. There's not a ton of people around me. So this is like when I told you on how to select faster video. I told you when you have open aisles, you want to move. So take this equivalent to you're selecting in the warehouse and you have people around, but now you have an open aisle. You want to select faster in that aisle. So, and then my next order that I do is only 40 cases. So when I do that unedited video, I'm going to show you how I didn't care as much about the stacking technique. I wanted to just get the order done. That's why I say it's so important to listen to your headset in the beginning, so you know where you start, you know where you end, you know how many cases, and you know the cube of the pallet. because you're already drawn a blueprint in my head before the pallet even starts. So my next order that I do, that's 40 cases. I will be doing that. I'll be, getting that video ready for you guys for next time around. Should be out shortly. So right here, I'm starting my second row. Now I'm getting different size cases. No, I'm not either. I apologize. So I am getting the same size cases. And what did I do? I just switched it. Now, what you've seen on the first row, coming down the left side, I'm coming down the right side. I switched the pattern. I didn't switch the block. I just switched the pattern of how I'm selecting these cases. So now I'm tying in the next row. This is when I did that video just recently about tying in. Like, people get carried away tying in. When you have all the like cases like this, absolutely tie in. There's no reason not to tie in. You need to switch the direction of what you are doing. So right here, I realized that, that's not the way I wanted. So I basically following the same block. It's just that I just moved a couple cases around, that's all. Even though these are all basically the same case, some of them are still higher than others just by a hair. So more than likely, I noticed that there was a case a little bit lower, so I stuck it in the middle. So I'm basically almost done with my second layer of my 17th block. The small case you see up in the middle, that's what I like to do with my skinny cases. People like to use them on the row that they're in. I say why. I call them filler cases, and I find it's so beneficial to just leave that case alone because you're going to need it at a later time. If I'm getting cases to fill in my layer with no problem, why would I waste that case on a layer that is going to be filled in anyhow? So the way I look at it is those filler cases, I constantly stick them to the side, and there is going to be a time because I'm going to start getting into different size cases. Because after this, we got the Progresso soups, we got chunky soups. You get into different blocks. They come in different blocks. So if I'm getting different size cases, that means that it's going to change the way that I do things, and it's obviously going to, give me smaller gaps. So that's why I'm saving that case. Now that brown case right there, I stuck on the corner for right now because it was a little bit higher. Because you don't know what's coming up. I don't know how many more of these cases I'm going to get. And I think I do move it because I start getting bigger cases. But you saw that I moved that up again. I am not planning on using that. I just keep moving that case up until I need it. I'm not going to force it into a position that I don't want. I don't want to waste it. You don't get many filler cases, and I'm not wasting it, that's for sure. Because I know by doing this job, I am going to have a small gap coming up because I'm starting to get into different size cases, as you can see right there. That manwich was a bigger case, so I know I'm getting into bigger cases, and I know I'm going to have a small gap somewhere that I'm going to need that case for. All right, so right there I moved that brown box because I realize it's a high case, but I realize I'm getting into bigger cases now, so I'm starting to move stuff around. I know that case that I had in the middle that I replaced that one with, it's also a smaller case. I was like, you know what? I could probably use that as a filler. And bam, right there. I immediately used it as a filler. It's just the way it works out sometimes. So the gap in between the middle there was a little bit smaller. Okay, so we're getting to the Progresso soups now. Progresso soups, I'm not 100% sure of the block they come in. I think it's a 15 block, a 15 or 16 block, but they definitely are not the same as the block that we were just doing, the 17 block diagram that I showed you. So the reason why I moved that brown case is why leave it there. If I have two Progresso soups, I am going to keep two Progresso soups together. I want my corner nice and strong, nice and even. And the brown box was higher than the Progresso soup, so why leave it there? I'll just throw it in the middle of my pallet. It's not lining up with anything, so why am I going to mess with it? I'm just going to stick it in the middle of the pallet, and I'll deal with it at a later time. But like I said, it is very important to keep like cases together when you possibly can. So remember where I'm standing at, that's the front of my pallet basically, all right, because I'm trying to select this backwards. So you see what I'm doing. I acquired a base, and now I am pointing my cases inwards with these cases. So technically I am not following the block of these Progresso soups. You know, because like I said, so what I'm doing now is I established a base, and now I'm pointing my cases towards the middle with the smaller cases going back. I go right to my basis of how I always tell you guys that I want to select as soon as I acquire a base. As soon as I feel like I have a nice strong base, if I can continue to build that base, I will, and which I think I do. I mean, basically I do, but I'm just doing it in a different block than what comes on the pallet. But these cases are all just a little bit different. You know, you got the Progressos, and the case on the right that I just put down is a little bit higher. So I'm trying to, there you go. Now I just filled in the gap. So I've moved those cases. I'm trying to fill in the row, the level as much as possible. And I noticed that I could use that case now. So I'm going to fill in that gap, and that's exactly why I keep that case. Because you would not fit any other case in there, and everybody would try to squeeze a case in that gap that would not fit, and it's going to push the case on the right with the white box. It's going to push it out. So save those cases for a later time. You're going to need them. I actually think I have another one that comes up I fill in the gap with. But see how I have a gap? I have a hole right in the middle of my pallet right now. Am I squeezing cases in there like I just tried to do there? I put it there. I realized, nope, that's not going to fit. A little bit too big. And then I thought to myself, I know I got smaller cases coming up. I hope I get one of them. So I just keep moving on to the next layer, guys. I do not sit there and try to fill out every single gap in every single layer. I'm patient. I know I got different size cases coming up, and I know more than likely I should be able to fill in that gap. You got to be patient. Do not force cases into places they do not fit. We need that's probably one of my main things I like saying on this channel, because we do. We always feel like we got to force something in to move to the next layer. So, like I said, guys, if you are not a member of Discord, if you can get over to Discord, I really appreciate it. We got over 230 people over there helping each other out. It's getting big, and it's getting very unique over there. Definitely a calm, collective warehouse community over there. Everybody helping each other out. So if you want to be a part of that, that link is in the description below. And like I said, guys, I appreciate everybody that's subscribed to my channel. So we're moving on to the next style here. I think this is where I get the case to fill in the middle. Maybe. Here we go. So I'm showing you the gap. All right, I picked the camera up. I want to show you the gap in the middle. I'm proving a point that I am not trying to force cases in there, that I'm just going to build around that gap until I find the case to fit. The middle of my pallet is very important. I don't want to put a case in there that is just going to throw me off. I want to have a case that's actually going to fit in that gap. So as you can see, I just keep moving up my pallet. Now you can see I'm starting to column stack. When I get up to about chest, I'm a little bit below chest high right now. I established a base. I have a nice solid base. So now I am going to start going, if I have to column stack, I'm going to column stack a little bit. You know, and then I will tie in whenever I possibly can. I'm showing you right there. I just got a case to fill that in. I was patient. I waited. Now, the Progresso soup that's in front of that case is actually a little lower. So I got a higher inside. So that's why I'm not dropping one of my other cases down to tie that in. It's too low on the pallet to have a slight angle going out towards the outside of the pallet. And I don't feel like switching cases around. So I'm just going to roll with this. And you're going to see me do something. And I'm going to talk about it here in a second, because I actually point to it. The part of the pallet I tell you not to stack in. I'm going to do it very shortly here. And I'm going to explain why I did it. So my goal is, the way I put that chunky soup there, I need to change direction. I need to do something different. I need to start tying that in. I don't like my middle column like that. I told you I like the cross and T's, and that is not following the cross and T's. So it's something that I am not, it's in my head. Let's just put it that way. It's in my head that I need to do something to get this, front of this pallet going back to the direction that I need it. And like I said, I built on the back of my pallet for the sake of the video. We've been getting in some disputes over in Discord about who likes to do what, build the back pallet or the front pallet first. It's definitely personal preference, that's for sure. There's more people than usual than in walking around my videos. We have more people on pre-shift this time around. I'm really trying hard not to show anybody. I am not the greatest editor when it comes to that stuff. So as you can see, I am building up the front of my pallet, which you could see from here. It looks like the back, but that's how I build. So I'm treating that part of the pallet as my front of my pallet. And that's why I started building backwards, because I built up the front of my pallet first. I thought I'd get something there we go. Okay, so I noticed those mayos were a little bit higher, and that I could get this to work and I could layer this off and switch. I point to that Hunt's case because it is absolutely 100% in the direction that I cannot freaking stand. Sorry if I forget a little bit about what I was talking about. I just had my battery die on my mic. I had to go replace it real quick. So that part of the pallet, do not do that. So the only time I said it is beneficial to do that in the middle of the pallet is if you have a case on the outside to match that case on the inside and you're not sticking out. I saw a rare opportunity, okay? A rare opportunity to make that work like that so I could switch my block and start tying back again like you see that I'm doing on the layer above it. And when you get two like cases, you want to keep them together, preferably on corners, just like I did right there. Nice, big, solid cases like those Juicy Juices. They have weight on them. I want to keep them together, and I want to keep them on a corner if I can, because I treat those two cases like one big case, and see how it ties that corner in perfectly with the gravy beneath it with the pizza sauce. We're tying that stuff in. I get smooth cases, these Yahoos. I do not like using them on the corner if I don't have to. They go in the middle of my pallet. That way I can pin them in and I don't have to worry about them sliding around. And they're up higher on my pallet, so usually the chances of those sliding around up higher are a little bit less than if they were lower. I'm getting the T's now. Once again with these, I preferably do not like putting these on corners unless I get a bunch of them that I don't know what to do with, like I am right there. I'm getting a bunch of these. But I still don't think I have that on the corner. I think I left my corner open in the back there. Like I said, a lot of thumbs up today. A lot of people in the warehouse, a lot more than usual. See how I keep stacking those up? I don't want them. I don't want them on my corner if I could possibly help it. I am getting a lot of them though. So, but I'm running out of room, so I stick some there, but they're still not on my corner. They're still on the inside of the pallet. And we are coming to the end of the video. That's going to be my last layer that I'm going to be putting on right here. The LaCroix, got that, and I'm going to slide one of these to pin it in between. And that's it, guys. All right, guys, so that's the end of the video. Like I said, when you have those type of canned goods, you should be able to build relatively easy, especially when you're getting a lot of the same size cases. and learn your system. What do you want to do once you start getting into bigger things? Put those smaller cases to the side so you can save them to fill in gaps at a later time. You do not want to waste it on a layer that you're already going to be able to fill that layer in with all the same size case. So with that being said, let's take a look at my final product. All right, guys, so this is the front of my pallet. As you can see, the cans, very nice and solid down here. You can see that case that I put in that part of the pallet that I don't like. Here we go. Here's a rare opportunity of that actually working, only because I had cases to line up with that on the inside and on the outside. So all the cases around that case going this way in that part of the pallet match up. But 9 times out of 10 when people do this, they don't have anything to match with it. Usually when you do that, you just keep stacking that like that the whole way up. But as you can see, my very next layer, I was able to tie that in, and you can't even tell that case is like that. So what do you also notice? Salad dressings, I build the same way every time. All my salad dressings get built right up the front. Here's the next picture right here, showing you a little bit of the back and this one side of it. You can see I got the Fiji water, squeezed it in the middle. I do not like those cases on the corner. Slippery case sticking out the back, got that in the middle. You know, but perfectly square pallet, everything's tied in nicely. Once I establish something, all the cases keep pointing in the same direction. I go right back to my foundation, how I build pallets whenever I establish that base. And the last picture, this is the other side where the LaCroix is at. And as you can see, everything's built nicely. So what I did was I had where those Cheez-Its are stacked up in the pallet there, I had a case leaning towards my corner down here. And instead of moving cases around and giving myself a headache, I wanted to keep moving. All right. I wanted to keep moving forward. So I started stacking light. All right. I didn't want to put heavy cases in there. I wanted all light cases on top of that case so I don't have something pushing up my pallet. So whenever I had that case leaning towards the corner, my mind thought is I need a heavy corner and I need only light cases stacked on top of there. And I put my Cheez-Its there. And I got grated cheese on its side, but it's on the top of the pallet. Not going to hurt anything because I know I'm not putting anything on top of it. But that is the front pallet. So let's take a look at the back pallet. All right, guys. So here's my second pallet that I built. And that's the reason why I stopped filming, is because I was getting to everything you see on the base here. That's what I was coming up to in the warehouse. And I was going to start building on my opposite pallet. And I do want to let you know that I switched my pallets around. So I was building on my back pallet. And then when I started building this pallet, I backed under and I switched my pallets around so I have my big finished pallet up on the front of my jack. It's just the way I'm comfortable with building, so I switched it around. Here is the front of that pallet. I started off with these waters. They were actually at the beginning of the tonneau before I got the cans, but I threw them up front so you weren't able to see those. And then I went into where you see the Arizona teas and stuff. That's why I quit building the front pallet. But this is the front of my pallet. As you can see, establish a base. And then everything starts facing towards the middle of my pallet. I build the same way every time. Here's the side of my pallet. Base, all facing the same direction basically, but what are they doing? They're just off-centered, all right? They're off-centered. They're not directly on top of each other. A little bit of a column stack up here, but it doesn't matter because I have a solid base all the way up to that deer park. All right, so what, 1, 2, 3, 4 rows up, nice solid base. Here's the back of my pallet. The only thing I noticed on the back of that pallet is my deer park on the far side. I do not like how it is directly on top of that one case, and I did not realize it was doing that. I probably would have took this second water down here and slid it over a little bit so I had some of that deer park hanging on the other pallet. So I do recommend doing that. So let's look at my second level. I got those 4 clear waters. Right up above that, I got 3 deer parks. I should have took that middle one of the waters, the clear waters, and moved it over just so my deer park is not sitting directly on top of that one case. So that is a mistake of mine. See, I'm not perfect every time. I don't like that. And if I recognized that earlier in my order, I would have took the time to move a case over so I had that resting on 2 cases and not just one. So that whole corner is resting on that one small clear case down there. So that's a no-no. So I even goofed on that. So yeah, so hey, you can't be perfect every time. You're trying to make standards in the warehouse also. Your job is to get the best product out in a timely manner and move on to the next order. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you guys appreciate the channel. I hope you appreciate the video. Thumbs up, comments, all that stuff. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day.